All right, I'm Raul Interview. I'm a United States Army veteran. I was an M1A1 armor crewman. I served 15 and a half years, various duty stations across the nation and in Europe. I did 3 tours in Iraq, including the invasion in 2003. I got out in November 2016, and here I am today living in Pennsylvania, originally from Chicago. And like I said, now I'm here living with my wife and 4 children in Pennsylvania, and here with my service dog. My current wife is originally from Kansas. That was my last duty station, Fort Riley, Kansas. Unfortunately, I got a divorce, and I chose to follow my children out here. I couldn't have them raised by somebody else, and I needed to be here. This is everybody has their plan, and there's that plan, and then there's the plan, and I struggle with that because I really wanted to finish out my time in Fort. My first duty station was Fort Stewart, Georgia, and I wanted to live in Savannah, finish out my time out the rest of my life, my days in Savannah, Georgia. The beach is beautiful. It's a beautiful area. It's nice, peaceful. Don't have to deal with the winter, and still around other like-minded folks, veterans and whatnot. Unfortunately, those plans changed, with the struggles that I dealt with towards the end of my career, 2015, 2016. And when I was medically retired, and I chose to follow my children out here. And my wife, Angela, she chose to follow me. And this is where we currently reside since 2016. I served from June 2001 to November 2016. So just over 15 and a half, almost 16. I was 19 years old. Right out of high school, within a few weeks, I was sent out to basic training, Fort Knox, Kentucky. Yes, sir. I was in boot camp when 9/11 happened. I remember vividly being in training out in the motor pool in Fort Knox, and I remember a lot of us soldiers running to a bay, and our drill sergeants called us and said that something tragic. Obviously things changed the course of everybody's life that day. Originally, I had signed up for kind of selfish reasons, because it was peacetime Army then, and I wanted to go to school, get out of Chicago. I didn't see any future for me there. And my mom, my dad, they were on my ass about doing something for me, doing something for myself. I was the oldest of 5, and five kids, first generation here in the United States, because my parents are originally from Mexico City, and my dad and my mom encouraged learning English first, and that's where I get my patriotism from. Is from my father and my parents. They came here, and they said, English is the first language we're learning, and that's why I carry myself the way I do, being very patriotic. But getting back to what happened with 9/11, that changed the course of my life, just like everybody else. And I knew from then on that I wanted to be a career soldier, but that didn't take effect until after my first deployment, 2002, which we went to Kuwait, and then that turned into Operation Iraqi Freedom there in April 2003. So before I joined the military, I was a grade, straight A student. I was in the college studies program and in my high school, Waukegan High School. Average childhood, and it wasn't until after my first deployment when I came back, and saw, obviously saw a lot of stuff. And it wasn't until I got back, probably my first time back, I remember hanging out with my friends, and I didn't have anybody, here. I saw when I got back, Fort Stewart, and there was this, it was like, man, it was like being a rock star, like coming back and landing in Texas, and it was just exciting, exciting time, man. Just people were so proud of us, and man, it was just a great time. People just, you didn't know, were just like so proud of you and just giving you hugs and just crying for no reason, not no reason. But it was very patriotic, just like a whole different vibe, we were taken out of the Iraq, the combat zone, and we, keep in mind this was 2003. There was no cell phones there. There was satellite phones, and the only contact I had was through these AT&T phone centers, prepaid centers, or through these reporters giving us access to their satellite phones to call back home. And I had no contact with anybody because we were brought back to Kuwait. I believe Camp New York, Camp Buehring. I don't really remember what one of those camps, but I remember we were isolated prior to us coming back. And I remember all these rumors of people saying, stay away from those guys, third ID, they're crazy. Coming back, they need a time to reintegrate, and I'm like, why? Like, what's going on? But not realizing, because everything that had happened in those, from April till we got back in August, our tour got from, originally what I understood was 6-month deployment, it was Kuwait, and obviously that turned into Iraq. But I got back, and it wasn't until the first time I was celebrating with my friends being home, and seeing all these happy families, and that, I don't know, just something just came over me. I started drinking, and it just spiraled out from there. 2003 August, and then I remember I turned 21 shortly after that, November 9th, and I got alcohol poisoning. I just didn't know how to stop, and then it just started a trend from there, all the way up until, I hated it, just functioned just like everybody else, had a lot of people just cover for me and everything, but I covered for a lot of people as well, so, but that was one of the struggles, initially coming back. When I went out in November 2016, actually it was a few months prior to that. It was actually September. My official date is November, but I got out 2 days, the day before my daughter's birthday, which is September 14th. And I remember driving up here the day of her birthday, September 14th, and it was like the greatest day of her life. My dad's out of the Army, and it was it was a great ending. Pulling up to Wellsboro, and seeing my kids. I got that video, and it was like mission complete. So. But little did I know that it was just the beginning of the next chapter. That I was leaving behind something that that I held on to. I believe kind of as a crutch. All my friends, a little bit. Became more than friends, family. Yeah. And it was like loss. And I know being when I reunited with my kids and everything, and knowing this is where I need to be, it was a great feeling, but also realizing what it cost me. And fortunately, my kids were still, pretty young, and they see now, the cost. And by the cost, I mean, what I, deal with now, with some isolation, and I try not to involve them too much in everything. They see it and everything, but they keep me afloat, with everything. I don't use them as a crutch or anything like that. They're there as my my guiding light. But that was like that was a great great memory for me to have, coming in. But like I said, little did I know that was the beginning of that was going to be the beginning of a very hard time for me. And that was September, and then now is November 2022, and things are just now, going okay. And it's because of because of the VA and because of organizations, nonprofits, and people, like my friends, other veterans, encouraging me, my wife, people that I love and care about, my battle buddies that said, you're better than this, that didn't give up on me, and there's so many vets that don't know how to open up or talk or take advantage of these programs. There's so many, so many people want to help. And it took me about like 2 years and, a lot of legal troubles, and I went down a lot of roads that I shouldn't have, and unfortunately I caused a lot of trouble in my life. And so Pennsylvania Outdoor Veterans Group, I heard about through the Combat Vets Motorcycle Association. They posted a link up on their Facebook page, and my wife had mentioned it to me, and she's been my biggest supporter. She's like, I noticed that you do so much better when you're out with your buddies. You never talk about the war or anything like that, but when you're with your brothers, it's like everything's all good. It's all better again, and I feel like this is where I need to be. Like things like this, like the Pennsylvania Outdoor Veterans Group. Like this is all we need. We don't need to. We don't need to sit around and have a therapeutic session. We don't need a doctor here to say, let's talk about our feelings. This is our feelings. When we talk to each other. And, the little small bitch session that I had in here a second ago, that's what I call. That's all I need. And then I'm reset. I'm good to go, because I'm here with a brother. And, there's no judgment, because I know And that's all it takes. I don't need a doctor here telling me some, technical, medical mumbo jumbo, or trying to put me away for something that I feel, or that threat that's there, or what I feel is a threat, to be put in a hospital and labeled. When like with the Pennsylvania Outdoors Veterans Group, like an organization like this, there's no threat like that. We're able to sit here and talk freely amongst ourselves without any threat of being put in an ambulance and taken away. Because yes, it is healthy to talk about these things. It is healthy to have these feelings. It is healthy to have these thoughts. We keep these things locked away, and that's why a lot of us feel shame and guilt, because the VA makes it where if we do talk about that, there's some underlying stuff that, there's like, that threat or not threat. There's the possibility of getting some label or something legally that can be done to you. And whether that's true or not, maybe somebody can clarify that. But that's what's going on. And that's maybe why a lot of people don't want to talk to the VA, because of that. Organizations like this make it possible for us to be together and get our things out, our issues out, and be okay. The other organization that I heard about, the POV, is the Combat Vets Motorcycle Association. I linked up with them shortly after I moved to Pennsylvania, to Wellsboro, the initial place where my kids live now. I linked up with them because I have a love of riding. I've been avid motorcycle rider. I get that from my father, and it's like having wings, on a human. And they're also a great nonprofit. They help out a lot of veterans. With anything, monetary assistance, the brotherhood is just there. I know I can call on any of them, and they're there. They helped out my family so much, but they also put out a list of events like this, where you link up, and that's also what I find most important about attending events like this or meeting up with organizations like this, is because the networking aspect. Nobody else is going to help us out like we help each other out. We advocate for each other, and when we advocate for each other, things happen. We move mountains when we're together. When we're together, we're unstoppable. We're back together. We're a team, and that's what the military preaches, and that's what I felt, probably the biggest loss in 2016 was that, the loss of my team. And that's where my dog comes in. That's another subject. If I personally know the veteran, I always leave it up to them. You can't force anybody to do something. That's the worst possible thing you can do. You risk pushing them further away. You leave the option to them. You let them see what it's done for you, and you let them see what it's doing in your life, and let them see that. Let them see what is working for you, and let them see that, hey, obviously something's working. One thing that I've noticed through my 5-6 years in life is that, the saying that misery loves company, that's true, 100% true. Misery loves company. And I've noticed that a lot of my brothers are in a lot of misery, and they're in misery because that's all they know. It's comforting, and I was there too. It wasn't until I started taking advantage of these programs because another veteran helped me out. Say, hey man, let's link up. There's a lot of people that want to help us out, and it's because there's a lot of grateful Americans out there. A lot of grateful Americans and grateful for what we did. Whether people think is right or wrong, people have to remember that. I also think there's a lot of generalizations. Like there's a lot of groups, and this might go against the grain, but I think there's a huge saturation in groups that try to help just one thing. For example, PTSD, and I understand that's a huge thing, but I think some of these organizations go by tackling this problem the wrong way. I think they need to ask the veterans, take a sample and say, how can we help you, instead of, taking it the other way, another way. I know there's a scientific way or a medical way to, take it, and, I'm not a doctor or anything. I know there's ways to, I've seen proof of, CPT, cognitive behavioral therapy, that I've also taken advantage of in counseling therapies and things like that. When I've gone to the VA for help, because I have gone to inpatient rehabs multiple times with the VA. So there is, they have legitimate science behind it that this works, But does that work for everybody? No. But why don't they ask the veteran, what can help you? What do you need? They don't do that. They just take a blanket approach, a cookie cutter approach, and says this is going to fix everybody. No, I think if they take, like things like this, like being outside, this is all I need. Like I didn't know what to do. I was in here. I was like, man, like it's peace and quiet. Like I have no worries here. Like my anxiety is just like I feel like at peace right now. I'm here with my brothers and sisters, and I'm just like, I feel at home. Yeah, well, my expectation is I have no expectations. The fact that, an organization took the time to make this happen, generous people donated money to make this happen for somebody that doesn't even know me, that that's great, like, you don't know me, like, thank you. Like that's to me, that's a great gift, like, I appreciate it so much. Like it's great to be able to, I do take advantage of these programs, like many other veterans, but never be able to say thank you to the people that made it happen. Not only the organization, but also the generous donors that are out there that, just reach out in their pockets and say, hey, thank you. Because there are so many good people out there, but and a lot of people don't want to be recognized for that. And that's how it should be. They just say, thank you. And I'm a truly grateful American soldier, patriot for that.